It was a dark, overcast Friday night when four friends, Sam, Mike, Jake, and Ethan, decided to explore the infamous old cemetery on the outskirts of town. The cemetery was said to be haunted, with whispers of ghosts, cursed tombstones, and of course, a mysterious coffin that nobody could explain. The rumors said the coffin had been there for decades, yet no one had seen anyone bury anything in it. "I swear, this place is as creepy as my grandma's attic," Sam muttered, shivering as he tried to adjust his hoodie against the chill wind. "Dude, your grandma's attic doesn't have a graveyard in it," Mike shot back, shuffling his feet nervously on the uneven ground. Jake, ever the skeptic, grinned. "Relax, guys. It's just a coffin. Let's not turn into a bunch of little kids. We're here for the thrill, remember? We're not afraid of ghosts. We're practically invincible." Sam rolled his eyes. "You've seen too many horror movies. Ghosts don't need to follow the rules." Ethan, the quiet one, was fiddling with his phone. "Well, while you guys bicker about ghosts, I'm going to find out what's really in this coffin," he said, eyeing the ancient structure that seemed to beckon them. The cold stone slabs and overgrown ivy only added to its eerie presence. "Well, if you're volunteering for ghost duty, go ahead," Jake grinned, a mischievous glint in his eye. After a brief walk down the winding path, they arrived at the coffin. It wasn't huge, but its age was clear. The wood was rotted and blackened, the iron handles rusted and weak. The coffin lay in a shallow grave, untouched by time, or so it seemed. Ethan, with his phone flashlight shining on the coffin, pushed the lid. "It's locked," he frowned. "But this is the strangest thing. There's no name, no inscription. It's just a coffin. That's because it's haunted," Sam said under his breath, half joking and half scared. As they stood there, debating whether they should open the coffin or just walk away, as any sane person would, they heard a rustling sound. They froze, looking around. The trees creaked, and the wind howled, but there was no one else in sight. That's not the wind," Mike whispered. His voice quivered, but then, he quickly laughed. Okay, just kidding. I'm just messing with you." Yet there was something unsettling in the air. Even Jake's grin faded as they all turned toward the source. A raven flew directly at them, squawking loudly as it landed on the edge of the coffin. Everyone screamed and stumbled backward. "Dude, it's just a bird," Jake laughed, but his voice shook slightly. "That's no normal bird," Mike said, pointing at its eyes. "It's staring at us like it knows something." As they were about to dismiss it as nothing, the coffin lid suddenly creaked open, by itself. The group jumped back in shock, but then they saw something unexpected, a small, dusty, old book resting on the coffin's bottom. "That's it," Ethan exclaimed, looking disappointed. "All this build-up for an old book?" Curiosity got the better of them, and Sam carefully picked up the book. It was heavy and old, the pages yellow and brittle. The cover had a strange, unreadable symbol engraved on it. "It's some kind of journal," Sam said, flipping through the pages. But just as he did, a cold gust of wind blew through the cemetery, slamming the book shut. The group looked at each other in confusion. "Okay, that was weird," Jake said, but everyone could feel it. The air had suddenly shifted. Without warning, a loud crash echoed from deeper in the cemetery. The group turned toward the sound, only to see a shadowy figure dart behind a mausoleum. "What the hell was that?" Mike asked, his voice trembling. Before anyone could respond, a series of eerie, unintelligible whispers filled the air, making the hairs on their necks stand up. "All right, guys. I think we've got to go," Ethan said, his usual calm demeanor giving way to fear. But just as they turned to leave, they saw it, a figure standing in front of the exit to the cemetery, blocking their path. The figure turned, and the group gasped in disbelief. It was an old man, wearing a tattered suit, but his face was horribly disfigured, as if it had been burned. "I've been waiting for you," the old man rasped, grinning. As the group tried to back away, they noticed something horrifying. The old man's shadow was moving independently, growing longer and more twisted as it reached toward them. In a split second, The shadow lunged at Mike, sending him crashing to the ground. The others screamed as they tried to pull him away, but the shadow had already wrapped itself around him like a rope. Sam, frantic, opened the book and began reading the first passage he could find. But instead of a chant, the words on the page seemed to shift and change with every reading. The more Sam read, the more the figure screamed, and the more the shadow grew. It was like they were connected, like they were feeding into the very pages of the book. "Sam, stop!" Jake yelled. "What are you doing?" I don't know," Sam stammered, his eyes wide with panic. "It's like it's controlling me." Suddenly, the old man's disfigured face twisted in a look of pain, and the shadow released Mike, dragging him beneath them began to tremble as the coffin's lids slammed shut again. But this time, it didn't stop. The entire graveyard seemed to rumble with the sounds of something rising from beneath. "Are we dead yet?" Mike gasped, clutching the dirt. "No, but we're about to be," Jake muttered, pointing to the rising figure from the earth. As the graveyard split open, an enormous creature, half human, half ghoul, crawled from the depths, reaching for them with claws long enough to tear through stone. In a panic, they scattered in all directions, but the creature's terrifying roar echoed through the cemetery, shaking them to their very core. Just as the creature lunged for Jake, he was suddenly stopped by a strange force. Another figure appeared. This time, it was a woman, tall and regal, glowing with a mystical energy. She raised her hand, and the creature froze mid-motion. "You can't hurt them," the woman said, her voice calm but firm. "They are part of this story. Just like you." The woman revealed herself to be the spirit of the cemetery, tasked with guarding the secrets hidden beneath. She explained that the old man had been the caretaker of the graveyard, cursed for his greed and betrayal. The coffin? It wasn't a tomb, it was a prison, holding the souls of those who had been wronged, waiting to be set free. And now, the four friends had unknowingly become part of the curse, drawn to the cemetery to fulfill a role they didn't even know existed. In the final twist, the group learns that one of them, Ethan, was actually a descendant of the old caretaker, destined to either break or seal the curse. The journal contained the key to freeing the trapped souls, but it came at a terrible price. Ethan would have to sacrifice himself to undo the curse. In the most absurd twist of all, Ethan, trying to maintain some humor in the face of impending doom, quipped, "Well, guys, I guess my sacrifice just got a lot less dramatic." But, in a final act of bravery and absurdity, the group helped Ethan perform the ritual, breaking the curse. The old man's spirit was freed, and the creature returned to the depths. As dawn broke, the cemetery fell silent. The group, bruised and tired, walked away, forever changed by their encounter. Sam turned to the others. "Well, I'm never coming back here. I'll just add funeral director to my resume," Mike said, trying to lighten the mood. "And I'll be sticking to regular horror movies," Jake added. As they left, the sun's rays touched the tombstones, and everything seemed normal again. But the cemetery? It would always have its secrets,